There are few topics in the audiophile world that generate more passionate disagreement than bi-wiring. Enthusiasts who've done it will tell you the improvement was immediate and obvious. Cleaner sound, better detail, more separation between instruments. Skeptics, including some with serious engineering credentials, will tell you that the measurable difference is basically zero, and you're really just paying for a placebo. Double-blind tests then get cited, arguments about electrons get heated, and somehow, after decades of debate, nobody has fully convinced anybody. Here's the thing though. Both sides, we think, actually have a point. They're just not looking at the same part of the problem. Some serious speaker designers have really embraced bi-wiring for real engineering reasons that we'll walk you through in this video, while others looked at that same evidence and decided their resources were better spent elsewhere on the speaker. Now, once you understand what's actually driving those decisions, the argument starts to make a lot more sense here. So let's get into it. All right, now most speakers have a single pair of binding posts on the back, one positive, one negative. Your amplifier sends a full range signal down a single cable, and the crossover inside the speaker divides the frequencies, bass goes to the woofer, highs go to the tweeter. Pretty straightforward. Some speakers, typically higher end ones, will have two pairs of binding posts. Each pair connects to a completely separate section of the crossover, one for the woofer and one for the tweeter. Now, if you connected a cable only to the tweeter terminals and nothing to the woofer terminals, you would only hear high frequencies. Now, that's how independent those two sections actually are. So when speakers ship from the factory and they do have two pairs of them, they're usually bridged together with a small metal jumper so that they function like a single pair of terminals. Now, bi-wiring means removing those jumpers and running two separate cables from your amplifier, one to the tweeter terminals and one to the woofer terminals. Both cables land on the same amplifier terminals since most amps only have one set of outputs per channel. Now, you haven't added more power here. You haven't bypassed the crossover. You've just replaced that metal jumper with two independent cable runs that only meet again right at the amplifier. That separation at the binding post is where the whole story starts here. So does that separation actually really accomplish anything? Well, to answer that question, we need to talk about something called back-EMF, and once you picture what's happening inside the woofer, it's actually gonna make a lot more sense here. Now, every time you play music, a signal flows through a voice coil in a magnetic field, pushing and pulling the cone. But when that cone moves back after being pushed forward, the voice coil moving through the magnetic field generates electrical energy going back towards your amplifier. Your woofer is acting as a small generator on that return stroke. That return voltage is what engineers call back-EMF. Now, some people will tell you that back-EMF only exists at bass frequencies and therefore couldn't possibly affect your tweeter. But that misses something that's pretty important. Think about dropping a rock in a pond. The rock hits at one point, but the ripples travel outward across the whole surface in every single direction. Well, back-EMF works the same way here. The woofer stirs things up at low frequency, but that electrical disturbance doesn't politely stay down low. It travels wherever it can find a path. So in a single wire setup, the shortest path runs right through whatever connects your woofer and tweeter sections, either the metal jumper or the internal wiring, and straight into that same cable carrying your tweeter signal. Now, your tweeter signal is the most delicate thing in the system. It carries that really fine detail, the subtle spatial cues, and those micro dynamics that make a great system really feel alive. So bi-wiring actually removes that shortcut. The back-EMF still travels back up the woofer cable toward the amplifier, but it no longer has a direct path into your tweeter circuit. So when does that actually matter for you, and does it do anything? Well, at low listening levels, your woofer cone is barely moving back and forth, so the back-EMF is pretty modest. But turn up the volume and that cone starts traveling a lot greater distance, and with every single cycle, and the further that voice coil moves through the magnetic field, the more electrical energy it will generate on the return stroke. A larger woofer with a powerful magnet assembly, especially one with dual magnets and a long excursion capability, generates substantial back-EMF at some pretty honest listening levels. This is why serious listeners tend to notice the benefit most when they push their systems really hard. But here's the objection that skeptics usually raise. both by-wire cables land on the same amplifier terminals. So what have you actually even accomplished here? It's a pretty fair question, but it's looking at the wrong end of the cable, we think. The back EMF is generated at the woofer and travels back toward the amplifier. With a jumper connecting the terminal pairs, it has a side street, a short, direct route that gets into the tweeter circuit instantly. The damage happens right there at the back of the speaker before it gets near the amp. Well, by-wiring sort of closes that side street. Now the back EMF has to take the highway all the way back to the amplifier. That is a much longer path with much more resistance. So by the time it arrives, the amplifier is doing its job of managing the signal. The amplifier is designed to handle what comes back to it. The high frequency signals heading toward your tweeter just simply are not. So skeptics, we think, are really just watching the highway when they should probably be more worried about that side street, which are the jumpers. So now you might be asking, so why wouldn't all speakers have dual binding posts? Well, that's because not all speakers generate the same amount of back EMF. The speakers most likely to benefit will have to have large woofers with powerful magnet assemblies and long excursion capability. More movement, again, means more back EMF, especially at higher volume levels. This is why brands like Focal, Paradigm, Bowers & Wilkins, and Aerial Acoustics offer by-wire terminals on their larger models, but not necessarily on their smaller ones. Now, that's not arbitrary. It's because an engineering decision was made based on what those woofers are actually doing. Some manufacturers looked at all of this and they just decided to put their resources elsewhere in the speaker, and we think that's a perfectly reasonable call here too. Now, these aren't oversights, they're decisions that have to be made by people who really carefully think about their designs of their speaker. So if you think by-wiring might make sense for your speakers and you want to see if you can hear the difference, the simplest approach is 2 runs of the same cable, identical in length and construction, one to the woofer terminals and one to the tweeter terminals. Some cable manufacturers even make purpose-built by-wire cables that optimize each run for the signal that it's carrying, and those are also worth considering if you want a cleaner setup at the amp end. Now, we have a full video about by-wiring that walks you through how to do it. I'll link it down below. But if by-wiring isn't in the cards right now, there are still a couple of things that are worth doing if your speakers do have dual binding posts. First, you should go ahead and look at those jumpers. Most speakers ship with thin, stamped metal jumpers that are pretty much an afterthought. If yours look flimsy, you could just replace them with quality wire jumpers, or at a minimum, connect your speaker cable to the woofer terminals rather than the tweeter terminals so that the jumper only handles the short run to the tweeter crossover. And while you're back there on your speakers, go ahead and check that every terminal is tight. Both the speaker cable connections and the jumper connections are tight and really nicely set together. So overall, by-wiring is a real engineering principle with a legitimate physical basis behind it, and the manufacturers who offer it are selectively telling you something meaningful about their own designs. If your speakers have dual binding posts with large, powerful woofers, it's probably worth trying, particularly if you listen at levels where the system really opens up. But I'd say my biggest advice for you here is just go ahead and trust your ears. You can try it and you can always go back, because at the end of the day, the only measurement instrument that actually matters are your ears and what you enjoy. And now, we haven't even touched on by-amping yet, which takes on a whole nother step that's actually pretty interesting too. Drop a comment down below. What do you think of by-wiring? Has it helped you? Do you think you hear any difference? Or is it not doing anything at all? I'd love to hear from you down below. And if you need more help, you can reach our experts at audioadvice.com or stop by one of our award-winning showrooms. If you like this video, hit that like and hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.